How's everyone doing? You're right, Code there, dropping yet another video. Right, today's video, well, I've already dropped one this morning. This video is going to be on sex offenders in prison. Um, Obviously, you've got like famous like sex offenders in prison. You've got that paedophile Adam Johnson. He was a footballer, played for Sunderland, started nonцing off 15-year-old schoolgirl who was below the legal age of consent, and then you got fucking serial offender Rolf Harris, who used his position as like a TV personality to sexually assault and yeah, young girls and everything else, right? So sex offenders in the prison system, right? There's more and more of them, right? Obviously, for those that don't know how prison works and stuff, I'm going to explain to you a few things, right? So, sex offenders, right? They go on their own wing. In the prison system, they're known as VPs, yeah? Vulnerable prisoners. They're vulnerable because they're vulnerable to getting fucking attacked. Because me and other prisoners, I'm a former prisoner now, but me and other prisoners don't fucking like them. And if we find out if they was put in general population, they'd be attacked, right? So they're put on a non. It's known as prisoners. They're known as bacons, right? Nonces, rapists, fucking like kiddie fiddlers, fucking just dirty, fucking horrible nonces. That's how they're known, right? Now, on my last stretch, right, I was a cleaner, right? So what happens, yeah, is when the non-swing's full, right, what happens is they get put into the general population, right? Now, no prisoner would be able to get their hands on a nonce that was, because the non-swing was full, right? There's two non-swings in the prison that I was in, right, Forest Bank in Salford. You've got H2, right, which is, I think it's the non-smoking, and then C2 is the smoking or vice versa, right? So there's two non-swings full of nonces, right? Now what happens, yeah, is because there's that many sex offenders, nonces, rapists in the prison system, they have to, they've got to put them somewhere. So when their wings are full, they end up in general population. So I was a cleaner on the induction wing, so they ended up on my wing, a couple of them, right, as what they call DNUs. For those that don't know, a DNU is do not unlock, right? What it means is when the lads, I was a cleaner, so I was constantly out. We had to, because I was in a position of trust, right? We wasn't like able to go after them and stuff because we was cleaners. We had a job and we was in a like decent position. But we had to serve food to these people, right? People that were rapists, child sex offenders, just kiddie fiddlers, rapists, nonces, and everything in between, right? So if you're a normal prisoner, if you're not a cleaner, you're just an inmate, yeah, you're just a normal one of the lads, yeah, you'd be locked behind your door, right? So you wouldn't be able to get to them, right? Or they're locked behind their door. When the regime's different, right? For those that don't know, regime is the routine within prison, right? So at certain times, the prisoners are allowed out. Now, when the prisoners, the normal general pop, as you call them, general population, that means people that are in for everything but sex offences, right? Rapists, nonces, right? So when the lads are out, yeah, general population, right? The nonces, the VPs, as they're known, vulnerable prisoners, or as we call them, bacons, nonces, they're locked behind the door, right? When the lads are locked up, this is the time that the nonces or the VPs are allowed out. Now, as cleaners, you're not supposed to broadcast the VPs, yeah, the nonces, right? Because they become harassed and targeted and threats and people pissing through the door or trying to like get posting notes under the door saying they're going to do them in and stuff. So yeah, like on my last stretch and stuff, like we came into contact with, I was standing on the ones, right, with a couple of lads, with a couple of the cleaners, and two lads came onto the wing, right, and I'd seen them before, and I didn't know they was doing music because they'd only just come on a wing really a day or two before. So I thought they'd come back from the main. I thought they'd been sent back from the main part of the jail. So I said to him, I said, "Oh," I said, "what are you doing back and that?" And he said, "Oh, we're on trial." He said, "All right, how long's your trial?" "Yeah, 2 weeks." Yeah. So one of the lads said, "Right, what you in for?" And they both just blatantly blurted out rape. And I was like, the way that they just said it though was like, I'm talking to you now, yeah, man. I was like, what the fuck, right? I walked off me, I wanted to fill him in, right? Me and another lad walked off. One of the other cleaners turned around and said to him, oh, what did you do? Like, he was joking and said, oh, did you tag team someone? And he said, yeah, some young girl. And I was like, they walked off and like they started fucking kicking off and started threatening him and stuff, right? So obviously it was just the way that they just came out of it. It's like they thought, in the only way I can think of the reason that they were so open about it is they thought that our wing, which was the induction wing, was the VP wing, the nonce wing, and it wasn't. Anyway, cut a long story short, the sex offenders that were on our wing, because the nonce wings, like the VP's wings, were full. We used to, because we were serving them food and stuff, their food was put into like, because they eat behind their door, right? So we had to plate up their food, and I'm not gonna lie, right? We spat in the food, we put pubes in the food. A hot dog, big sausage hot dog, ended up between one of the cleaners' ass cheeks. Slices of toast that were given were put in people's ass cheeks and stuff and given to these fucking nonces, because obviously we've got no thingy for them. Even the screws were actively, I won't mention any names, we don't do names on this channel, but even the screws, right, if a VP was getting lippy to the screws, yeah, or had a bad attitude, then the screws would close the servery door, right? The server is obviously where the hot plate is for the food, right? And there's a shutter, yeah, like a hatch, yeah. They pulled it down, they went in there, right? And they fucked around with someone's food as well. Nonce, they fucked around with his food. And you know what, yeah? Ain't no one in the prison system gonna give a fuck, right? And it's happening nonces, right, that ended up on general population. If it's on the nonce wing, right, the people that are serving their food up there, prisoners, are going to be nonces, right? So they all run together and stuff, yeah. They make your skin crawl, right? And when they go on their exercise yard, yeah, for exercise, lads were screaming out the window, you fucking nonce, you bacons, you dirty rapists. And it, like I say, and then the nonces were shouting back and stuff. But you saw nonces that were young, you saw nonces that were old. And like I say, because I was a cleaner, we had to come into contact with him and stuff. Like, there was one, right, and he had to take, there was no mattress. He was getting moved from general population on the induction wing where I was, and there was finally a space upstairs, so a nonce must have got out of prison or been shipped out to another prison, right? So he had to take his mattress with him. So he said, no, don't take that one, take one of the old ones, right? So they found an old foam one. I dragged my ass across it with my boxers down, lads fucking spitting on it, fucking everything you can imagine, man. We had to do it clever. We had to box clever and stuff. But like I say, me and other people that won't be named all took part in it, and fucking rightfully so. And if nonces are ending up on general population in other prisons, right, in strange ways, in Cat A strange ways, right, when I was there, never even saw a nonce, right. The way that the prisons run is so that you don't come into contact with them. And to be honest, if I wouldn't have been a cleaner in Forest Bank, I wouldn't have come into contact with the nonces, because I would have been locked behind my door and I wouldn't have known what other people are in for. When they're locked behind the door, right, lads, when they're out, prisoners are not stupid, right? When prisoners are out, they're asking, oh, why are you behind your door? Why are you banged up and we're out? So what the nonces will say is, oh, I'm an OP. An OP means own protection, right? That means OPs are normally people that are in debtheads that owe money for drugs and stuff, right? So it goes on, right? So, but then they start saying, oh, well, what you're in for? And then they'll say an offence and they'll think, well, hold on, you won't get that long for that. So that's when they start twigging you and they start working out, right? Or one of the cleaners would just come out and say, he's a fucking bacon, mate, he's a nonce. And then obviously people start putting notes for his door and stuff. While I was on my last sentence, a couple of the lads found out that there was a nonce on the wing, right? So they started threatening him he was locked up, the nonce was locked up, obviously, but his flap opens, yeah, like his door, so you can look through his glass thing. So the lads start shouting down the side of his door, you nonce, you bacon, I'm going to cut you from here to here. Anyway, this nonce, right, when the lads had all ended up getting locked up after dinner, right, the nonce was opened up, right? I think he was going, like, for a visit or something. Anyway, I was behind my door at this time, right? And what's happened, yeah, is the nonce jumped up onto the bars, right? For those that don't know, the bars, like you've got your ground floor, which is your ones, and then you've got your twos, right? So your twos is like your first landing, right? So one of the lads, this nonce, has jumped up onto the bars and tried to throw himself off, but the screw that opened the door gripped him. Right, so what ended up happening? The nonce pulled himself forward, so he was upside down, like holding onto the cage, right? There was no metal bars across it or anything like that, no netting, right? And the screws like grabbing his legs, yeah. So he's upside down. The screws on the landing holding this nonce's legs. The nonce is obviously upside down on the other side of the fucking railing, right? And then surprise, surprise, the pants came off in the screw's arms, right? The screw's a top lad, and the fucking nonce he head dived. He tried to commit suicide. He head dived and fucking split his wig open. Ended up on a life support machine, and we was all hoping he was going to die. I know that's harsh for a lot of people to hear, but he's a nonce, mate. If he offended against your kids or touched your kids up, right, you wouldn't be wishing him the best in prison, would you? You'd be wishing that bad things happen to him. So in between him eating fucking pubes and spit and everything, and fucking like sausages and fucking like burgers that had been up people's asses and stuff, he was getting abused behind his door, and he nosedived off the thing and split his wig open, and should have died, but he ended up surviving. Lost some of his skull and stuff like that, and ended up down on C2, which was the other nonce wing in the prison. When you go on visits and stuff for nonces, right? When you're in Strangeways, right? When visitors walk into Strangeways, right? The nonces are segregated, right? They're kept on the right, right? There's a like when you walk into Strangeways Visitor Centre, on the right, there's a nonce, like that's anyone that sat there with a back to you, prisoners, they're nonces, right? Then you open up, the hall opens up, and then everyone else is general population, right? When you're in Forest Bank, right? If you're on a visit in Forest Bank and you see people, the people sat nearest to the door where the table is for the screws, yeah, where the cameras are and stuff, they're nonces, right? They're put nearest to the desk, because that's where they're the nonces, right? Because if they're on the far side of the visiting hall, right, they're going to get, and the lads will know. The lads know within prison. We know that anyone that sat near the fucking the screws desk, yeah, like there's a big wooden desk, yeah, with all the cameras are and where prisoners come out. That's where they put the fucking prisoners, because obviously if they put them on the far side, yeah, inmates could lose the rag and attack them. But lads are not stupid, right? If you're going on a visit, you don't want to be like, before you sit down, starts laying some fucking into some nonce, because you'll lose your visits, you'll get nicking, you'll get twisted up, you'll be put on closed visits, and your visit will be cancelled, and you get fucked over, right? So obviously the lads have to grin and bear it. But in the holding cell, before you go into the visiting hall, you're held in a different cell, right? You've got three cells, right? You've got general pop, you've got OP, right? OP's for own protection, and then you've got the nonces, right, that are right next to the security office, right? And when you walk past, people spit at the fucking glass, and they fucking give them the finger, and they threaten them and all that sort of stuff. Like I say, people like Adam Johnson, Rolf Harris, Fred the Weatherman, and all these other fucking sex offenders and stuff, people don't like. I mean, that nonce Adam Johnson, he's appeal at the Court of Appeal for his conviction has just been rejected again. The simple fact is, he's a nonce and a rape. He's a nonce, right? But he's trying to like get his thingy quashed so he can get out of prison. Fucking ridiculous, man. In prison, you're just another celebrity nonces, right? Some prisoners on the nonce wing that are nonces will be like, ooh, it's Rolf Harris, right? Or it's Adam Johnson, right? Other people, right, will go at him. But obviously, again, because the VPs, anyone that's on a VP wing, right, a vulnerable prisoners wing, so a nonce wing, they're in for sex offenders. So they all end up friendly, and they all end up friends. They're all in for the same sort of shit. They're all sick fucking freaks, right, that don't think like you and I, right? And like I say, so nonces and rapists and kiddie fiddlers and all these Asian grooming gangs and stuff, they all knock around together, because they're all in for the same sort of offences. So a rapist can't look at a kiddie fiddler and say, oh, you're a kiddie fiddler, because they're all in the same boat. Yeah, man. Like I say, so sex offenders, if they live on their own wing, on the vulnerable prisoners wing, the VP wing. But obviously, if the VP wing's full, they do end up in general population. If you go to prison and you're ever out your cell, and you see someone locked behind the door, right, while you're out, they're either an OP, which means that they're in debt up to their eyeballs, right, or chances are they're a fucking VP, so a nonce or a rapist, right, or a kiddie fiddler, but they won't tell you that. They'll tell you they're in for their own protection and stuff, which is a load of bollocks. So like I say, but as cleaners and stuff, we was in a position of trust, so we couldn't go at them. So we got them in other ways, like I say, pissing in like if you like you have to go and fill the cup up for them, right? So you piss in it, you fucking spit in it, and then you fill it with hot water, or you get their flask, you piss in it, you spit in it, you do all sorts, man. It's fucking, you know what I mean, and rightfully so. Right, and it goes on. It goes on in prisons up and down the country. Right, at the end of the day, in general population, you won't look down your nose at anyone. But if there's a nonce on your wing, right, or if there's a nonce or a rapist or a kiddie fiddler on your wing, right, they are the worst of the worst. They're fucking hated in prisons, right, and it's a good job they're segregated and kept separate from the lads, because the lads would kill them. It's as simple as that. Obviously, a lot of prisoners have got kids and stuff like that, and so they would go at anyone that was in for sex offences against kids, rapists, some people raping grannies. It's fucking wrong, man. 2 or 3 people raping a girl, it's fucking wrong. Right, anyway, guys, comment, share, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Hope this gives you another insight. Alright, guys, bye.